But if you are a black woman and you know you have a good black man at home, you need to do what it takes to keep that black man. Because let me tell you something, there are not a lot of available good black men out here that are still interested in dating black women. So let me just hit you with some facts. Naturally, there are just more women on this earth than men, okay? We are outnumbering them. So then there's a large percentage of those black men that are incarcerated. There's another percentage of those men that are just into men. It's just the world that we live in. There's another percentage of those men that are already taken and married, and a lot of them are not marrying the black women. So when you do come across a black man that is single and good and actually willing to date a black woman, how do you ensure that he is actually desiring you and wants to commit to you? Okay, here's another fact. The number of black men who are marrying outside of their race has drastically increased, which simply just means they are not picking us. And that is a big concern for me. So you got to ask yourself, what is it about you that makes us less desirable? That is what we have to figure out, because the men do desire to be in a relationship. They're getting married and they're outnumbering us in marriages. They're just not picking us. So it's time to really figure out, how can I be different? What do I need to switch up to really get what I truly desire from this black man? Let's talk about it in the comments. I don't know.
It's a good point. I mean, it's a good series of points. I think that's it's obviously problematic for so many reasons, because we don't really critique women, right? And when you do, that doesn't really go far. It's very quick to be spun around, gaslit, and said, "Well, what about the men? What about the men?" It's almost as if we don't have the ability to have two conversations at the same time. And if we can't do that, we can just sometimes set one aside to talk about the issue that's right in front of our face. One of these things, quite simply, is, if you want to be more attractive to black men, you have to listen to them. And that's not something that we really see going on. I want to say 95% of the time. You don't see actual discourse. You don't see women saying, "Okay, I see what you mean," and it not having to come with some sort of defensive argument, like I said before, that somehow it's a man's fault or the inception of it is a man. If a man today isn't a good leader, then they'll say, "Well, look, he was raised by a single mother." Well, where was the father? Okay. Well, we can now go back another step and say, well, maybe he was chased out the home. Maybe he didn't want to be there. And then you see it's a man's fault. Then you can say, well, if he was chased out the home, then it's a woman's fault. We get so caught up in the blame game, the chicken or the egg, but we're talking about relationship. We're talking about people. We're talking about outcomes in their lives. At some point, we're going to have to realize that, it doesn't matter. We have to look at what is in front of us today, the present. And the fact is, the unfortunate fact is, we don't have a society where it teaches women where you should listen to men. Men are telling you what they want. You are now telling them they're wrong for wanting that, and then getting upset when they then don't want you. Especially when we live in such a global society where men can say, okay, I'm telling you what I want. It's the same things I've kind of always wanted. If we had said, like, if we're at the negotiating table, it's like women got up and left and said, I'm going to do my thing over here. Okay, men have stayed at the same table saying we still kind of want the same things. Let's just expand where this table can actually, be set up. So the countries, like I said, we have a global society. We're connected. You don't physically have to go to these places to communicate with people from there. And now it poses this huge problem, this whole disconnect. Now we don't know. Now we're seeing the effects of it. Men are just finally saying, it's better to end up alone, have my bloodline die out, rather than be miserable with someone who does not know how to appreciate it. Listen, but before we continue, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss no uploads. Still trying to go strong, still trying to do 2 a day, even though the algorithm is busted. Right? So if you aren't getting notifications, check your notification bell. After that, if your notification bell is set to all, then you're not getting notifications, I don't know. We can yell at YouTube together. But this conversation, it highlights something very simple. Men have always kind of said the same thing that they want. They want femininity. They want a soft woman. They don't want someone combative. They don't really want to fight, right? They want someone that's relatively in shape, someone that cares about their parents. And what men have specifically said they want in relationships is things that are free. They want to feel appreciated. They want to feel like their efforts matter, not that they're just here for no reason, or they're easily replaceable, or when they fall into hard times, they just won't be, thrown to the wayside. So when men are saying this, instead of saying we're here to have an even exchange, we're here to see if what we're talking about makes any sense. No, what we're getting is pushback, constant pushback. But now it's like, but we're supposed to be telling each other what we want. We're supposed to be telling each other what's important. What we have, because for such a long time, this has been said through a feminist lens, and that has become the standard. That even when you push back against that today, it seems like mainstream society wants to tell you that you're wrong, wants to tell you that something is wrong or broken with you. When just today, when I was flying, I was listening to Air Hustle music. You had a young couple and the older couple was seated down, and they were joking back and forth. And a question was posed, and the young man, apparently a newlywed, was like, "Oh no, I already know. It's her way." And the older man says, "Capitulation. That's right." And they all had that joke about it. And to me, like, this is the standard. This is what is said. This is why over time men feel smaller and smaller and smaller, because you capitulate what's important to you. You capitulate your opinion, your thoughts. They're asking you something simple about seeing arrangements, and you just say, "Well, whatever she wants to do." We get so browbeaten, and we think that this is the key to happiness. For the most part, I don't think if women really enjoy this, that you have a man that does not have the capability of telling you, this is what I want, this is what's important to me. This just becomes another thing that you guys end up clashing with. You want his opinion, you want him to be a leader, but if he's so ready and willing to just say, whatever, I'm never going to give you my real opinion, then part of why women today are saying, oh, we don't match with these guys is because for such a long time we've let that run rampant. Part of this issue why black men, successful black men, are not getting with women they're dating out, they're choosing otherwise, is because in the past, we've simply let things slide. We haven't actually been forward and said, this is what I want. If I can't get this, I'm not settling. I'm not settling. I'm not just, and are you selling in that actual bad term? I'm not settling because these things are important to me, regardless if I've worked hard, regardless if I made something myself, and therefore you tend to value what I'm saying a little more than the regular guy working at Amazon. We all should hold that standard. If I can't get something and as basic decency as saying, when I have something to say, my opinion should matter just like you expect your opinion to matter. You don't get to run roughshod. You don't get to command how these things go. Men, instead, we kind of go silent. And the newer generations, millennials on down, we're just retreating. We're saying, okay, if I can't get what I want, I'm no longer going to argue with you. And I'm a fan of that. I'm not going to argue with you over something that I think is very basic. That's common decency. What I'm going to do instead, I'm going to go where I'm appreciated, where people care about what I have to say. My opinion holds some weight, where people respect the effort that I put into them, where people respect what I've done, what I've built. And if that's overseas, that if that's in another race, a lot of black men, successful black men are saying, yeah, I can take the vitriol, I can take the nasty words, the comments. In order for you to amass some sort of wealth, fortune, or to know, in order for you to become better, you had to build a thicker skin a long time ago. But when you hear a lot of these comments, yeah, even if it stings, you roll off and you keep it pushing. So if you were with a white woman, an Asian woman, a Spanish woman, but you're happy, you're building a family and you're happy, you don't really care anymore. You don't really care that someone says, well, what about the black sisters? No, we all understand no one person of a race belongs to the other race, especially when that race doesn't seem to appreciate them. what I would predict what we're actually going to end up seeing is the pendulum start swinging back the other way, where we're going to have more and more Black women say we want to be in relations with you, but the thing about that pendulum swing, the thing about that social change is that it takes a long time for the effect to happen, and men are usually like that trending or that trailing effect. So it didn't take once Me Too came, once um, the vitriol against men got louder and louder and louder. The effect wasn't immediate where men said, "All right, I'm just going to bow out the game." It was a 5, 10 year effect. Correction is also going to be just as slow. If we get to a tipping point where most women are saying, "No, I want to make things work. I want to make things happen," it's going to take a long time for a lot of men to come on board and say, "I believe you." If you don't believe me, if you got something you disagree with, feel free to let me know down in the comments below. If you see videos on your screen right now, check those out. Let me know your thoughts about those in those videos. And of course, if you listen to my voice after I've been ranting for about 10, 11 minutes, have not subscribed, I think you should. I'm trying to build something dope here. I'll see you in the next one.